You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
What's going on, AfterBuzzers? Welcome back to How to Be a Host. I'm Olivia Gabaree, aka The Real OG, and I have two Bossy Bonitas in the house tonight, Candice and Leslie.
We do the same thing.
Is that like the... No, for real. I always do it too,
weird.
because it's so awkward. You're like, what do I do?
What do I do? Shimmy.
So I met you guys on separate occasions. I hosted with you, and then I met you on a red carpet, but somehow you two came together to create your own podcast. Mm-hmm. It's a Latina-based podcast, right? Bossy Bonitas. How did you come together, first of all, to start something like this?
Here at AfterBuzz.
Really?
Yeah, we were both hosting Queen of the South, which season 2 is on Netflix now.
Yeah.
Check it out. Good show. So we were covering season 2 here, and it was us two and then two other hosts. And Candice and I just really vibed well, and there was I think it was one episode, maybe like the third episode of the season. The other host wasn't there, and so it was just me and Candice, and we were vibing really well.
Yeah.
We were just like going off, like piggybacking off each other. Marky, like really well, like just working so well together. Yeah, co-hosting.
Yes, very much
and we at the end of it, we were like, hey, we should do something together.
I like this.
I like this.
Yeah,
What's going on
literally,
here?
as soon as they cut, we were just like, we should do something. and then we had one other, I think we had 3 weeks back to back that were like just the two of us. So we had the idea at first, and then it just kind of evolved. And that was back in July or August, I think, of last year.
Yeah.
And it really didn't come to like fruition until around October, November, when we had been going back and forth with ideas and names, and it was originally called something different, and what we really wanted to do with it, and it still has now evolved even more from what our original pitch was, from what the show was going to be, and it just kind of like naturally fell into place.
So what made you decide to make it, Bossy Bonitas? It's a Latina podcast, so is it for Latinas, about Latinas? Like, what is the main basis of it?
I think it's a mix of everything. I mean, we come from different backgrounds. So I'm mixed. I'm half white and half Puerto Rican. And I also have a unique perspective as well because I don't speak the language. I don't speak Spanish. Okay. I understand it, but I don't speak it. So I come from that upbringing of like having my cultural identity kind of something that I've had to develop as I've gotten older, and I'm really falling finally into place of where I feel like I identify and being able to be really proud of my culture and my background. And so that's where I'm coming from. And then Leslie comes from a completely different background, and just the two of us vibing and being able to communicate, that is Bossy Bonitas as a whole. It's not necessarily like powered by it being a Latino podcast, but it is very like, generated that way. The people that we talk to are all Latino, but we all come from different backgrounds, so I think that's kind of where we were going.
Basically, just in a way breaking the stereotype that people imagine when they think of specifically women and Latinas. It's very much Sofia Vergara, Eva Longoria, which they're all beautiful women, but they don't represent everybody.
Exactly.
And so we wanted to give it a different spin, even showing our own different backgrounds, even some of our own different, like the way that we go through life and different things that we experience. We're friends. We obviously get along really well, but like the things we experience
sometimes.
Oh, okay. It's about to turn into like Jerry Springer or something up in here. No, they're both like we're just different, but we get along very well, and that's I think the thing that makes our podcast work. Is that it doesn't matter if you're not Latina and you still want to listen to it, you're still going to find something that's relatable. You'll be able
to relate.
Yeah.
We actually had someone message us after our first podcast was released. She was like, I'm not Latina, but I really appreciate like your perspectives on everything because I identify with different things we were talking about, and it was just an eye-opening experience to realize that it does go beyond those boundaries of like racial lines by any means. So
and everybody always says find your niche, like when you're a host, when you're creating content. I mean, we're trained to know that niches are so important. So I would say that you guys definitely do fall into a niche, although you do reach like a wide range of people. But how is that space? Like, is there a lot of Latina based content out there, do you think, or you're really just like setting it off.
There's really not a lot of content. And the cool thing is there's a little shout out. There's this network called Podcasterio, and it's a network of Latinx podcasters. And it's really small. It's probably, and it's growing and growing and growing since they first started just last year. But it's probably like 20 podcast groups who are out there just putting out all this amazing content. So we're one of the many voices, but it's still not enough. You know, especially in podcasting, which is predominantly white, and there's a lot more of the like African American, the Black community coming into podcasts, but even then it's still majority white. So coming in as Latinos, it's been really cool.
Well, that's kind of great because you're sort of paving your own way. There's no, I mean, it's so oversaturated now. It's sometimes very hard to find a jumping off point. So, you know, fast forward, you have your idea. How do you even start a podcast? Like, where do you begin?
Well, you just start. I think that was our biggest thing was like, I mean, I know I'm a perfectionist. And I'm pretty sure that you are as well. I don't want to speak for you, but we are. And so I think that took us a long time from like idea to inception to actually doing it, of like really kind of finding our identity. And at the end of the day, we were just like, well, let's just do this, jump head first in, and then go from there. And honestly, that's been the best thing ever for us to just kind of go and like we're figuring it out along the way. And like the group that Leslie was talking about, we talked to a lot of other people that have been in the business for a lot longer, and that's what they always told us too. And you don't really take it to heart until you're actually in it, that you really just have to start, and you just have to start somewhere. It's not going to be the best stuff in the world. Like we have some podcasts that we did one and we listened back and we were like, we got to scratch this completely. And then there's other ones that we're like, oh, I wish I would have said that. Maybe we'll do it later. So I think it's just a matter of like kind of paving your own way, like you said earlier.
And everyone has their own unique story, and somebody somewhere is going to relate to it. So I think if you have an idea and you want to start a podcast, you should just go for it.
Go for it. We always learn that. I'm always like bringing it back to the AfterBuzz philosophy, but I always remember something that Keven says is, you know, less think, more do. But sometimes I find that it's hard for me to do that because me too, a perfectionist, like I don't want to just put anything out there. So are there times where you'll record like whole episodes and really just decide like, nah,
Leslie?
I'm the one who will, because I am a perfectionist.
How do you go? Are there times where you disagree? And
we argue on the phone sometimes. Like, Candice, I just don't think this is a good topic. It's a good idea. And she's like, no, but it is. Listen, and we have like a full-on conversation.
Well, what would make you decide that you don't want to put it out?
I would say just if I feel that the quality isn't good, or if I feel that we haven't done justice to a certain topic. So if we're covering something, I don't know, we talked about like the Me Too movement, and I thought we did a really great job with that, so we put it out. But if for any reason we hadn't necessarily covered everything with, you know, having it be sensitive material, if we hadn't covered it the way that we did, I would have been like, you know what, let's scrap it, let's not do it, let's pick something else to talk about.
And a lot of times we do agree. We agree more than we disagree. But when we do disagree, like we've learned as we've gone through the motions of like being business partners, because it's ultimately what you are, is you're a business partner in this endeavor, because both of our names are on it. We have had to learn the push and pull of just being able to respect each other's opinions on both elements, whether it's materials that you're putting out and it's not necessarily your voice, it's like promo materials or photos or like interviews or anything, and you know, you just have to kind of respect that and figure out that like we ultimately have the same vision and just have to trust each other a lot. So it's been a long journey of trust too.
Hit the nail on the head.
Thanks. Thank you.
So do you guys take care of the whole thing? Production, editing, promoting, marketing? Dang.
Yep, we do it all.
So where do you film at? Or where do you record rather?
It's been different places.
We recorded here at AfterBuzz, I think twice. And then I was getting a master's degree at USC. And so
no big deal.
Whatever. And so they have a recording studio there. So we were using that for a long time.
Okay. So do you feel like the space is limiting to you? Would you ever record just in your living room?
think now we're gonna kind of have to.
Yeah.
You know,
we're gonna be a bi-coastal group now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's amazing because it's kind of like the journey started in July, and I remember when you told me you were looking at getting your master's degree, and how much has evolved within a year. And honestly, like I feel like a lot of it is attributed to Bossy Bonitas. Whether or not it's like our actual material that's gone out, it's like the journey that we've both been on as business owners and like creating and being artists and hosts. We've learned a lot about ourselves, and it's opened up many more opportunities and saying yes to a lot of more doors that have like not magically, but honestly, like it's a blessing that they've been open to both of us, and we have unique opportunities now. So it's kind of, we're going through a whole new navigation of doing it from LA versus New York. And so we bought our own equipment, and so we're gonna do the whole satellite thing, which will bring a completely new twist.
Yeah, it's possible.
Well, yeah, so what they don't know is Leslie's taken off. She's leaving LA, but that's, I mean, I've podcasted with my friend, and she was all the way in Switzerland, and it's kind of amazing that you could pull something off like that. So what type of, just to get to the technical, if you guys just bought equipment, like it should be fresh on your mind, what are your podcasting essentials?
Oh, well, you definitely need a recording device.
Okay. What kind of recording device do you have?
I'm blanking on the name of what it's called.
It's a Blue Yeti.
Okay.
So it is a little bit of an investment, but if you go on Amazon, they're pretty good price. Like I saved up, and we got Yeti because it is easily, like, you don't need a converter board. It's very accessible. You just plug and chug. You plug it into your USB. You get the right recording equipment for your computer, and then it's got the volume on the actual machine, so you can do your levels. And then amazing headphones, like noise canceling headphones, because the headphones, like the earbuds, you're not gonna get the best. Like when I edit with my my Beats versus my just like my little iPhones.
No, those
it does
work.
never
You
work.
have to have
miss
like
things.
your full ear covered. Yeah.
So you have the mic, and then what's a recording device that you would need for your computer? Is it like an audio mixer?
Yeah, we're trying to figure out, like, there's been a couple that we've been messing around with because we do have to do satellite. So there was one that you sent me that we haven't tried yet. So it's in the process of trying because we've still been together.
We're working.
So
we're
working on
it.
it.
But I mean, you don't even need expensive equipment. If you're with a group, I think you have to be a little more on the pricey side. But there's like the Anchor app, and there's like, you can even record like voice memos
on your phone.
On your phone, oh my gosh, the voice memos on your phone is
I low-key use that too.
It's so good.
And if you don't have a lav, just a little like hacker, if you have your iPhone headphones and you tape it under and use the mic, it's your personal lav, and you just press record.
Wow, that's great.
Life hack. Your audio.
Seriously,
Life hacks right there.
If anybody's wanted to start a podcast, like, you can honestly do it in your living room, just at home in your bedroom.
You just gotta start somewhere.
Yes.
Most people do, actually. What is her name? I'm blanking on her name. She does her own podcast in her living room, and she's a famous celebrity and literally sits on her couch in her pajamas with a microphone.
Oh.
Really?
Yes. And I'm going to have to figure out who that is.
Well, that's okay. We can visit after. But it's definitely possible. I mean, because I do that as well. And I'm just I love to pick the brains of other podcasters because, you know, there's many ways to do things, and it's just finding your way. So when you say satellite, what exactly does that mean?
I mean, you can do, I know we haven't figured it fully out yet, but I know some people will do like Skype.
Okay.
Where they'll talk over Skype and you just record it so that you get both people talking. Some people one person will record it and then send that conversation to the person who's not near them. Then that person will respond and you sync up the audio.
Oh, okay.
So I've seen it done different ways, but we haven't figured out what's the best for us yet.
I think we might just probably FaceTime, but be using other audio equipment. Like that way we at least see each other, but mute that conversation and be doing it over headphones. Because there's other ways of streaming the audio at the same time, digitally online. So.
Yeah, and I'm sure YouTube University will be your best friend through it all.
Seriously.
I mean, you could, anything
seriously?
you want to find out, like, it's out there. You just have to be resourceful.
I love that YouTube University.
Yeah, I stole that from someone else, but I'm totally using it.
No, it's great.
So what is a topic that you feel like you were totally passionate about that you love to cover on your podcast?
I think one of my favorite episodes that we did was the first one, where
mine too.
were just able to share our different experiences and be able to really break the stereotype of what a Latina is. So we went off of like what not to say when you're on a date with like a Latina, and the
the breakup
tell
either.
me some
yeah.
Hold up.
Give me some pointers, like what should you not say?
What
Don't
should you
just
not
say, "Oh,
say?
you're acting like a Latina."
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
What is that?
I
Or
don't know what it means.
don't use my ethnicity as like a way to find like a common ground
okay.
between
Yes.
us.
Oh.
You're like, oh, so like this new Latino thing came out, and I'm like, okay.
And I haven't seen it.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know, like if you're just in conversation, yes, but it's totally different when you're talking with friends
It's just
than when you're
awkward.
like dating
Yeah.
or somebody's interested in you. It's
Yeah.
like, no, I know exactly like who you are with that one question. But stuff like that, or I mean, being asked stupid things like,
Can you
oh,
cook?
are you like, can you cook? Are you feisty because you're Latina? Or like, hey, mommy, how's it going?
Yeah.
Like, no,
Foolish.
no.
Well, do you think with your audience, have you created like a relationship with them? What would you say is your core demo?
I mean, mostly female.
Just, yeah, women our age.
general, yeah.
There's like a few guys in there that have commented and like messaged us just being fans, but majority has been women just being like, hey, I'm going through that too, or I really love that you spoke about this topic, or a lot of it is my family that messages me, like my cousins and my friends. But beyond that, I had one. God, it was so funny. I mentioned my alma mater, my undergrad university, and this girl messaged me and was like, hey, like, my roommate graduated from there, like, he's single, would you be down to, like, meet him?
That's
she's like,
hilarious.
sorry if this is weird, you just, like, mentioned your school, and I was like, oh, they have something in common. I wasn't even mad, I thought it was so funny.
So did you link up with him?
No, I didn't. No. But I thought it was so funny. So, like, I don't know. The fact that, like, somebody who listened to our podcast
was trying to set you up on a date. It's
I
like,
want that. Why haven't I
that
got any of those?
That's a loyal fan.
right?
That's a loyal
That makes me feel like we're doing a good job. We found that like relatability where people feel that comfortable, which I'm fine with.
Which I think too comes down to like it gives us an outlet, or at least I feel like this. It gives me an outlet to just speak my mind on a lot of different topics. We've talked about so many other things. The first one was my favorite, but it gives us a platform to be, whether or not anyone's listening, to be heard, especially in the climate of everything that's been going on. Like, it's just a place to be able to be creative.
Right.
Yeah. And so I think people are receiving that very well. Like, they're actually, I think the more genuine you are, the more people that are going to respond to you.
No one wants fake.
No.
Everyone
I'm
knows
over
when
that.
you're being fake.
Yep.
They know when you're being like, hi, I'm polished and I'm here talking
Yeah, of
about
course.
what I think I should be talking
But
about.
when you get into more like controversial topics, and I know, like you said, you want to make sure that you cover it well, but is it hard for you to remain like authentically yourself when you're sort of tiptoeing around a hard subject?
I don't think so. There's also the beauty of editing. So
Yes.
if we say something stupid, we can just mix it out. But I don't think we've had that problem yet.
No. We're very, very blunt about things. And, like, again, we are also very aware that there are other differing opinions. And we make that known that we're, like, number one, we're not experts on this. This is just our opinion.
Yeah, we always preface that.
We do. And we honestly, like, will play devil's advocate if it's needed. But if we believe something, like, this is my one place that, like, I feel like I can be completely, like, biased and say whatever it is I feel. Because if people don't want to listen, they can change the channel.
Right.
Like, this is our own and we own it and we can do whatever we want, which is the liberty of, like, starting your own podcast or whatever it may be.
It's not like you're not working for, like, a news publication, or you're not, like, under a company where you have to fit what they
you
are
have
kind
your
of
own
molded to.
freedom.
Yeah. You're able to just say whatever you want. I mean, there's some stupid people that have podcasts out.
I mean, there are
very
people
true.
with billboards
Like-
now that say whatever they want. That have, like,
people can say whatever they want, and there's a beauty to that, and there's a danger to that. But I think if you use that power for good, you know, then
For sure. And you girls are the first podcasters that I've had on How to Be a Host. So I want to pick your brain about little things that I would definitely want to know if I was looking to start a podcast.
Ask away.
So in creating, you know, episode by episode, do you create a rundown? Like, how specifically do you outline a show?
So it's it starts off very specific,
Yes.
but before we get into the studio to record, we will kind of break it down to where we'll only focus on the main headlines, and then we'll have like subheads. It's kind of like what we do here at AfterBuzz, where we'll have like a few main sections that we have to hit, and then, maybe we can talk about this in that section or this in that section, but it's not like we have to hit every subsection perfectly. As long as we hit like the main ones, that's our main goal, just to make sure that the show is not all over the place.
Yeah, of course.
If you can tell, I ramble a lot.
Yeah, so, I mean, sometimes when you're talking with your friend, it's so easy to just...
Yeah, you go off on tangents, and sometimes it doesn't fit. Again, the beauty of editing.
Yeah,
but
it's great.
Yeah, it's mostly, and I mean, Candice has been good at doing the rundown for a few of our last episodes. So.
And I mean, we always have it up so we can keep it in check. If there's a specific point that we need to hit, it's all about like just making sure you incorporate it into the current conversation. And I mean, if there's something that just doesn't seem important, we'll be like talking, and I'll point and I'll be like, and we'll just cut it, and you just keep going. So there are some things that the ideas get nixed, and then other things come into play. But yeah.
And then do you try to keep it at a specific time limit every time you...
Between 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, I think the most we've done is an hour.
And then how about hosting the podcast? Where do you put it up for people to listen?
Ooh, it's on SoundCloud. It's on Apple Podcasts, and I think that's it, right?
Yep, those
that's it
places.
for now. Yeah, but I mean, those are the two main places.
They definitely are. And what I actually learned, I'm sure you guys do this as well, is when you upload to SoundCloud, there's a way that you could have that direct copy also upload to iTunes.
It's amazing.
It's
the RSS
so
feed
much
is the best thing ever. Thank you.
No, it's the greatest. Yeah.
And then how about marketing-wise? Is one of you in charge of posting to social, or?
It's mostly Candice that does the marketing stuff. So all the cool graphics you see, that's all her.
I have a marketing background, so it's kind of like we both obviously incorporate like our own opinions and make sure that like the brand is still up to like our integrity, and like I always throw it to her first beforehand, but like we typically just do all of it and like throw it up, and we've had other people do some things for us, but ultimately I feel like we're so like hands-on.
Yeah, well, you took our
You
first
probably
picture.
learned a lot.
you did.
I know, we actually took the first photo shoot together. That's like amazing, and now here we are.
Look at that. Full circle.
Yeah, and like as far as marketing, obviously social media is huge, but do you use any other like...
We're building a website, and we
ways to
do
do
have
it.
other ways of like what we want to do. Like we want to keep it as like not only a podcast but a brand.
Okay.
So it is trying to grow into something bigger and to a network, because we think that like the idea that we have has the capability of being something like so much greater.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of like when the timing is right.
Yeah.
Especially for everything that we've been doing.
We just need to sit down and talk
like,
about
go.
everything and lay it all out.
Yeah.
But for now, it's a podcast. We want to turn it into a brand, and hopefully something that other people can be a part of.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important note to really understand about, media and being a creative as a whole. It's like, I always find that I have so many ideas, and it's like, I want to do it all.
Yeah.
But you just have to start from one place, and eventually, like, when you master that, you grow, and you get bigger, and you bigger, and then you have yourself a brand.
Yeah,
Exactly.
seriously, because if you try to do it all at once, you're going to burn out.
Yeah, and it's
gonna
just,
happen.
it's too much when you're spreading yourself thin. You can't really give your all and dedicate yourself to mastering one thing at a time.
Yep. Exactly.
But I'm so glad that you girls came. So when you're going away, so like when's the next podcast gonna be up?
In the summer. For sure in the summer.
Hopefully June, July-ish. We're not going to say one or the other, because it's just kind of, we got to figure it out. But
have to figure it out.
Well, we'll be waiting, and in the meantime, we can follow you guys on social media, right? So individuals, and then the podcast.
Sure. Okay, my name's Candice Cruz, like we said at the beginning, and you can find me at Candice R. Cruz everywhere.
And I copied her. So you can find me at Leslie M. Ambriz.
See the brand. It's
We
consistent.
just got it. We both put that middle
Gotta keep
name,
it
middle initial in
consistent.
there. Yeah.
And then it's just at Bossy Bonitas,
At Bossy
right?
Bonitas,
Across everywhere.
Everywhere. I mean, Instagram,
I don't know how we
Twitter,
lucked out with that.
Facebook.
Yeah, I know.
We
That's
really
a
did.
pretty like fly name for to be so
We
available.
got an
Oh,
email
yeah.
address. We got a website address.
And we
We got
got
all
it
of
all,
it.
yeah.
Well, you came up with the name, so I'll give
I
you
did
full
come
credit
up
rights.
with the name.
Full rights for that one.
It just dawned on me one day.
Yeah,
I
it
was
just
driving,
hit you.
yeah.
Well, I like it. It's a good one.
Well, thanks.
And you guys obviously know I'm Olivia Gabaree. You can hit me up on Instagram and Twitter, _O_G, and
Love
I'll see you
that.
next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.